we here today officially announce the filing of our $100 million lawsuit against the United States government, the FBI, the CIA, and the NYPD, who we believe all conspired to assassinate Malcolm X. It is not lost on us that justice has been delayed in this matter. And on this momentous occasion, we stand ready to lay out our complaint very soundly. We believe there is solid ground to go forward with this lawsuit at this time. Over the last 3 years, every day, every week, every month, we have been unearthing new evidence, evidence of people never having spoken before about what they witnessed during those turbulent times in the 1960s. The government fingerprints are all over the assassination of Malcolm X. And finally, we believe we have the evidence to prove it.
Welcome to this media briefing on the opening day of the 5th session of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee's briefing. So on our panel today we have the chair of the INC. We have about 45 minutes available, and we hope to use most of that time.
I'm confident that we will reach an agreement here in Busan for the 1st of December. And I'm confident that that text that we will agree with the member states here in Busan will give us the path to combat and to end plastic pollution with credible rules. You have to consider that this will be a living document. We need to keep this convention, the future treaty, the future convention alive, strengthened in the future, getting stronger and stronger. We have heard scientific evidence, scientific data, and we need also from the science, from academia, also solutions and possible solutions.
With respect to every country coming in good faith, that is always how we expect it at the United Nations. Anything else would be completely countercultural to multilateralism, and therefore we very much know that that's the way. Do they come with different interests? Of course. That's the reality of negotiations, and I think that you see the reflection of those interests in some of the interventions. But that is why we are here, precisely to address those issues under that big tent that the chair has constructed.
Being too voluntary and too weak. So, are you concerned that you'll come?
Differences in views still remain on key issues, including plastic production, controllable plastic products and chemicals, and the financial mechanism, among other things. This is no small task, and it's only through hard work, mutual respect, and unwavering determination that we'll achieve our goal. Korea stands ready to work with all member states to build bridges to narrow gaps and foster consensus.
하고 있는 걸로 제가 알고 있는데 좀 이게 어떤 식의 절충을
Trump has also chosen Hillsborough County Sheriff Chad Chronister to lead the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency. Trump says the sheriff will stop the flow of fentanyl and other drugs from reaching the U.S. And we continue to see some of these nominees just laid out, like I said, on social media, including one today where Trump announced that Massad Boulos as his senior advisor on Mideast affairs. He's a Lebanese-American businessman and also the father-in-law to Trump's daughter, Tiffany. Anita?
All right, Mark Meredith with all the big news live in West Palm Beach. Mark, thank you.
نتج عن ازدواجية المعايير في تطبيق القوانين والمواثيق والقرارات الدولية ذات الصلة، استهراء الاحتلال الإسرائيلي وزعزعة أمن المنطقة واستقرارها. فها نحن نشهد ما تتعرض له كل من الجمهورية اللبنانية الشقيقة والجمهورية العربية السورية الشقيقة والجمهورية الإسلامية الإيرانية الصديقة من اعتداءات متكررة من قبل قوات الاحتلال الإسرائيلي.
is putting out a warning that it plans to take action if the U.S. enforces new chip control measures. This comes after reports the Biden administration could come out with new export procedures by the end of the week. Reuters reports the U.S. Chamber of Commerce told its members the plan includes adding as many as 200 Chinese chip companies to a trade blacklist, which would prevent most U.S. suppliers from shipping to them. China's Commerce Ministry spokesperson He Yedong says China strongly opposes what he claims is the U.S. broadening the concept of national security and the, quote, abuse of control measures targeting Chinese companies. The U.S. tightened controls on semiconductors over fears that China could use the technology to strengthen its military, with Yedong responding, these actions severely disrupt international economic and trade order, destabilize global industry security, and harm the cooperative efforts between China and the U.S. It's not clear what actions China would take, but Yedong added the country would do what it needed to protect the rights of Chinese companies. The reported changes are a reversal from the Biden administration signing a bipartisan bill in 2022, providing incentives for chip makers to set up manufacturing in the U.S., committing $53 billion to boost U.S. competitiveness with China. The chips are an important component for several products, including electronics, vehicles, medical devices, and defense systems. There are also concerns the revitalization of the semiconductor industry will be impacted when President-elect Donald Trump takes office in January. Here's what Trump had to say about it on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast.
That chip deal is so bad. We put up billions of dollars for rich companies to come in and borrow the money and build chip companies here, and they're not going to give us the good companies anyway. All you had to do is charge them tariffs. If you would have put a tariff on the chips coming in, you would have been able to, just like the auto companies, no different. More sophisticated, but no different.
Trump says he plans to put up to 60% tariffs on goods from China and a tax of at least 10% on all other imports. For Straight Arrow News, I'm Kara.
I will now recognize Mr. Moskowitz for a 5-minute introduction.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Good morning.
There is a document that will be entered into the congressional record today. Mr. Tim Burchett from Tennessee has this document, and we just distributed it to every member up here on the dais of this document. But this is going to be the original document from the Pentagon about Immaculate Constellation that Michael Shellenberger delivered to Congress today. So thank you, Mr. Shellenberger, for this information. We are all reading it in real time now, and Mr. Burchett will enter it into the record. But 12 pages about this unacknowledged special access program that your government says does not exist.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chairwoman. I want to thank the Chairwoman and the Chairman both for their continued support.
The first section talks about the unacknowledged special access program called Immaculate Constellation, and the second section about USG imagery intelligence. And Representative Luna just told me if I say Immaculate Constellation, I'll be on some list, maybe a FISA warrant. So come at me, bro, I guess. But
in a time of heightened distrust of our government institutions, I believe more transparency is not only needed, but is possible. And obviously we can respect national security limits, but we also have to provide our constituents with the information and oversight that they have tasked us for.
Has there been any, to your knowledge, any communication with a non-human life form?
So the term communication is a bit of a trick word because there's verbal communication like we're having now. The problem is you also have nonverbal communication. And so I would say definitively yes, but from a nonverbal meaning, when a Russian reconnaissance aircraft comes into U.S. airspace, we scramble 2 F-22s, and we are certainly communicating intent and capability. I think the same goes with this. We have these things that are being observed over controlled U.S. airspace, and they're not really doing a good job hiding themselves. They're making it pretty obvious they have the ability to even interfere with our nuclear equities.
Our third witness is Mr. Michael Schellenberger, founder of the newsletter Public.
Our best tool for unlocking the mystery of UAP is science. But we cannot conduct a proper inquiry if the stigma is so overwhelming that just daring to be part of a NASA research team elicits such a vitriolic response. Therefore, one of the most important actions that can be taken relative to exposing the truth of UAP is to combat the stigma. And this is where I believe that NASA can be eminently helpful.
Our first witness is retired Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet, who retired from the U.S. Navy and is now the chief.
As the saying goes, the truth is out there. We just need to be bold enough and brave enough to face it.
Mr. Burchett for 5 minutes of questions.
Thank you, Chair Lady. I request unanimous consent to enter into the record